Welcome to the Gina La Wonda Show, two friends that talk about life issues and their involvement in ministry. Thank you for joining us. And now here's Gina and La Wonda.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gina and La Wonda Show. I am Gina Williams.
And I'm La Wonda Bornstein. Thank you so much for joining us. And Gina, tell us who we've got visiting and what we're doing.
We are so lucky today to have one of my all-time favorite people, Britney Smith, who works at the House DC, works intimately with mostly our women, but really she is working with everybody, staff, donors, everybody with the House DC. And we are so thankful that you've taken the time to come today, Britney, and talk with us. What we wanted to get an understanding of is what the problems are that children, youth in the inner city are facing. And, to have it as a perspective, we want folks to understand the challenges, the incredible issues that our kids are facing day in and day out, but that all kids in the inner city are facing. And I think it's really an issue of a socioeconomic. I mean, probably some of the issues that you're going to talk about are issues that are being faced in small towns, across the country. I say inner city, but I really think it's what kids who are in poverty situations are experiencing. What do you see as some of the largest issues that children in the inner city today are facing?
Hi, Gina and La Wonda. So
Hey,
great to be here. It's so many issues that we already know, like the bigger ones, like you said, the things that come from poverty in general. But there's some things that they specifically deal with when when they're put in these situations, like, for example, the music. So the music has a big part of what they do, how they feel, how they react to certain situations. Our community, the adults, the millennials, everyone is kind of listening to these rappers and this music, and it's a big thing in our neighborhood. That's an issue. Then we have issues like just the disadvantages in the school system. With the programs that they're able to have at school. There's not a lot of after school programs. If you're not an athlete, there's nothing for you at a lot of those schools where they're struggling financially. And then just the neighborhood, the safety. A lot of our students are walking, looking around, looking behind their shoulder every day. Now, sometimes that can be, just all youth that's dealing with poverty, but specifically in the inner cities, that is something that no child should have to deal with. A lot of our children are fearful. They're trying to make it from Anacostia High School to the House DC, or from their high school to home. And, children shouldn't feel like that. So I think that's definitely a problem. The fact that they are all smoking weed, and I don't like to say they all, but such a large number of them smoke weed that it kind of feels like they all do. And the ones who don't discourage it. They are definitely understanding to their friends that smoke weed. And I know that comes from a lot of trauma and a lot of different issues that they're facing. But I don't know how deep you want me to get into it or how far you want me to go, but those are just a few of the things that they face living in these high crime, poverty areas.
So Britney, let me just ask you a question. You mentioned that music. Can you give a little bit more example about that? I was taking notes on a few things that you were talking about, and could you just expound a little bit on what you mean is wrong with the music?
Absolutely. So the music today that youth are listening to, even adults, like I said, even their parents are expressing things like they say on mostly all the cars or all the songs, free car, free car. And a person who doesn't know what that means would just say, what are they talking about? But that's encouraging the kid to go steal a car, and then record yourself saying free car, free car. So it's just the rappers, they're not really doing these things and they're not really living this lifestyle, but they're influencing our students to do so. So while we're, at the house, we can control the music they listen to, but when they're outside and those other students who don't have the house DC or, whatever the case is, this is what they're feeding their soul all day long. And because just the time that a lot of youth are kind of falling back from the belief of God. I don't know if I believe in this because we have witches who are so prominent on Instagram. We have these people who are trying to give me cards and trying to tell me my future, but I can't hear from God because my spirit is so filled with this just this toxic music, and they are very addicted to the music just the same way that they're addicted to weed. I just need to smoke my weed. I just need to listen to my song. And this song is a song full of, I hate the world. I hate myself. I'm trying to make it day to day. I might get killed. I might not. This is the lyrics of the song. Very depressing. And they grasp onto this music because it seems like the only thing who can understand, or the only person this rapper can understand my pain and what I'm going through. So yeah, I'm just gonna, cling onto it. But it has that depression in it. And it also is encouraging them to do things like, you ain't got no money, go get a free car. Like, you know what? I don't have money and I'm tired of God not answering my prayers. I'm going to go steal a car and I'm going to make some money. So that is a huge issue that we face.
That is, I would never have thought that would have been one of the things that you would have talked about today. I mean, that's overwhelming to think, how do you override? I mean, how do you help these kids to understand that this is not the answer when it's so prevalent? It's going to be around everywhere they go. I mean, everybody's got their beats in, or or whatever. And how are you able to come against that? Especially the negative, what's happening in your spirit, because you're so right. If that is continually a part of your spirit, it's pushing out the Lord, and it's hard for the Lord to get in there. And well, nothing's hard for the Lord, but when you're pushing out his spirit, you're not hearing from him as much. And that is really very eye-opening and very scary.
Yep. It is eye-opening and scary. I think one thing that the house does, for example, we have a studio at the house. And the house isn't just for Anacostia. Kids come from all over the place. So just from anywhere in the city, Maryland, wherever. So one thing we do there is we have a studio. So if you give us, we do these things called fixed tapes. A mixtape is when you take a song that's already made and you go over top of it with new lyrics. At the house, you take a beat that's already made, and not only do you go over top of it with new lyrics, you have to make this song positive. So we're going to fix the lyrics to this. We're going to take all that depression out and we're going to make it positive. And this is your payment. So once you get us a fixed tape, you get to go in the studio and express yourself. And after they took all that time making that positive rap, it's not even the same things that they were saying before. So when they get to go and say what they want, we see, a change already. A lot of times the rap is just the way of getting out hurt for our community. And a lot of communities like it. It's like everybody want to be a rapper, but they don't. This is the only safe way that a guy can show his feelings. He can cry in the studio, he can make a song, and he can talk about all his hurt, and it's cool. But that is the only place for a guy, the only safe space for a guy to get out his emotions. Also in the house DC, just the music that's playing, it may not all be gospel, but it's all positive. So, when a new student who's not used to the house, they're like, oh my God, can we change the music, please? And we're like, no. And next thing you know, they're dancing to it. And then, you just they're changing. So just like you said, nothing's too hard for God. We see God work through that all the time, but just it's still one of the things that we definitely struggle against.
So Britney, can you talk a little bit, because you touched on this when you talked about the card readings and the witchcraft and that kind of thing, because that's something that it's seen. I remember when I was a kid, and Gina, and we saw that TV show, Sabrina the teenage, or the I forgot.
Sabrina the
Witch.
Teenage Witch.
And that was like something that was really cute, very subtle. And
Mhm.
so, and then when you fast forward it to today, there's a lot of that. And it seems like it's something that's just kind of, back then it was kind of like a cute little thing. Or Bewitched, that's what it was called that I watched. Sabrina
Yeah.
came way after me. I had a child then. But no, it was called Bewitched. And so it seemed very very innocent, but it's really this is demonic and on a deeper level, but it makes you think like it's not a big deal. Can you talk a little bit about just some of the involvement and what you've seen with our young people and this whole, demonic witchcraft that's going on?
Absolutely. We have students who are very interested, and they want to come and they want to ask us all about it, and do we believe in it, and they want to show us stones. So even as young as 15 and 16 are starting to have a just kind of a shake in what they believe. Like, these people are actually manifesting things, Miss Brittany. That's what they believe. Even on Instagram, and my DMs is people that's, because I'm always on Instagram talking about Christ, and they are in my inbox back to back to back to back, telling me how they can read my future and how they can help me manifest all the things that I'm waiting on God to do or whatnot. So it's a very, very aggressive. I think a lot of it is a scam. People see that this thing is really growing, so let me try to hop in. But it's so many people who really believe that they are witches, who really believe that these spells that they're doing are manifesting them husbands and wives and futures and money, success. So it's all over our community. We have more and more stores that's starting to put the gems in the front, versus when we were going through something, we would go to the Bible, we would call grandma. Now we're taking this sage and waving it around the house and just different things. So I think people are hopeless, and they are searching for something. They are searching for answers, and they just feel, because they can see it and they can touch it, and because someone is actually saying this is for you, it just makes them feel like things are going to get better, when in reality they just lost all hope.
I mean, that's not any different than, throughout scriptures, when you see folks making, fashioning idols. And unfortunately, it is probably part of our natural evil nature to want to see something right in front of us and want to be able to touch something, and to think that that thing is actually what is being manifested, when it probably is the Lord, but we're looking at it like, oh, it's it's these rocks, it's the sage that the Lord created, but and that actually is another thing I would never in a million years have thought that you would have brought up. And that is definitely something that that we need to be in prayer about, because it is something that is just a natural, thing that happens with all people. All people have whatever, they've all got a created thing that they think is God. They think is going to give them the results that they want.
And one of the things that I will say this, that there is a disservice within our religious community to ignore demons and to ignore demonic activity, because when someone says, I can tell you what happened to you, and when someone can tell you, if you do this and that, we can't ignore the fact that that's demonic activity. And yes, demons and Satan can tell you what happened in the past. They can reveal those kinds of things. And I think one of the disservices that we, even as a religious community, can do is ignore that, because we're afraid to talk about it. We don't want to hear about it. And that is perfect for Satan and the demons, to ignore him. And to think that this is just some kind of cute little thing, I don't exist, and my legions don't exist with me. And so I just think that's interesting, something that even for us, I know that we've talked about this, Brittany, just really having a conversation about all the different forms of witchcraft that is actually really stems from a demonic presence. So that was interesting. So there was something that and I wanted to know if you could touch on this as well, expound a little bit more on this. You said that there's a lot of weed smoking going on.
Yes.
And so, marijuana is legal, and it's a plant, a cannabis plant that, that was naturally created. So, what do you think is happening, and what's going on with our young people that's making it an issue?
I think the issue, is not necessarily that there's the plant itself. The issue is the fact that they are too young to afford the weed. So what are they doing to get the weed? Who are they going with to get the weed? We have students who do not have a job, who parents are struggling to take care of them. They don't have an allowance. They have no money. Where's the money coming from? So that is a major issue as far as safety. What's happening, what our girls are doing in order to get weed, who are they connecting with? Also, some say it's a distraction from school. Some say it helps them to focus in school. But one thing that we know for sure is it causes them to miss school. So whether they're going super late because they have to wait for somebody with a J, like I said, they don't have any money to afford it. A J is a rolled up. I don't know what it's called, but yeah. So they're waiting for friends to come and have enough people to maybe put $6 together to go buy some weed before school. That takes time. I'm mad at my teacher. I gotta go and smoke some weed. The problem is that they are becoming so addicted that they are going to weed versus God. And that's our fight with them at the house, that they can go to God for those same things. Try God. He can lift you so much higher, so I'm mad I smoke. I just woke up this morning. I don't feel like going to school. I slept on the floor. My back hurt. I need to relax. I smoke. I just had a long day at school. I smoked. Oh, the house, they're about to feed us dinner. We need to go and smoke so that I can eat. I can't eat without smoking. So it's the issue is that at such a young age to be addicted to anything to that level is just extremely dangerous. The measures that they go to get it, and the things that they're willing to give up or to miss to be able to smoke.
So when you talk about addiction, you're making me think that, not making me think, because we've had these conversations. Marijuana in its natural form, its natural state, has not been known to be something that is addictive, that is incredibly harmful. As a matter of fact, it has very good medicinal uses. So this sounds more like opioids. And it sounds more like that there's something in the marijuana. It's not straight up marijuana. It's not the marijuana that friends of mine, not me, smoked in the 70s. And I'll leave it at that. This is something that's synthetic. That obviously is different from the marijuana from many years ago, or the marijuana that someone just grow.
Definitely that. Everybody, who's older and was weed smoker say that this isn't the same weed. So that alone, that they don't know where the weed is coming from exactly, especially when you're a kid. You do not have the dispensary safe weed money. So that's out of the question. You're not even allowed in the store. So yours have to come off the street. It has to come from somebody young enough to sell to you. So that's just dangerous. And also, before, people just used to smoke weed. Today, they are taking tobacco and sprinkling it. All of our students, no one smokes just weed. They take tobacco and sprinkle it across the weed so that it's smoother, so that it kind of hits more like a cigarette than it does. So highly addictive, even if the weed was clean, the fact that they're taking this because they just want to be able to smoke so much without coughing. They want to be able to smoke without people hearing the kids coughing in the background. We need this to be smoother, and not realizing that tobacco is highly addictive and you don't even realize it until now you're smoking cigarettes.
I agree with you, La Wonda, and what you just said. And Britney, like as you were talking, like this does not sound to me at all like when I was growing up and kids were smoking pot. And I think that's something that is going to be worth us to looking at a little bit more in depth, La Wanda. I mean,
Right.
this is completely different. Like missing school to go, to go get pot and pulling your money with other, like this sounds like an obsession, I've got to have it. I've got to have it. And that is just so not, I mean, I've smoked once in my entire life, but I'm really not the best expert here, but it just doesn't sound like what we experienced growing up at all. And this is just absolutely crazy that you're dealing with something so incredibly addictive that's legal. Like that's horrible to think about. And, I mean, I'll be honest, like I thought when I wanted pot to be legal because you've got, when we were going through these issues with, well, should pot be legal or not? We had to vote on it and all this stuff. I was like, yo, yeah, for sure. Like I remember pot when I was a kid, it was really, it wasn't that big of a deal. Folks would just kind of calm down a little bit, and you never hear of somebody, drinking or smoking and killing somebody in a car or, like this kind of thing. And I was thinking it might not be bad to introduce that. Introduce pot, and maybe people will go away from alcohol, which I think is an incredibly destructive force. And here you are talking about pot like it's this, like, I mean, in such addictive words. And that is truly very terrifying.
I think that what you said about it is still relevant to some people, adults, people who can manage it, people that's using it for different things, like you said, pain management, to relax after a long day, whatever the case is. It is the fact that they are so young and that they are so full of hurt. These kids from inner cities just have a lot of pain. They are using it to cover up pain. Someone who is responsible, they can come home, they get paid, they have money to afford this, they have a job, they're not smoking all day, they know how to deal with their issues or whatnot. Is different from a kid who's 14 years old, whose parents are locked up, who this person that they are living with isn't treating them well. They don't have a bed, they don't know what they're going to eat, they just don't feel like going to school. They don't understand the work. They are smoking and smoking and smoking and smoking, trying their best to cover up these things that they're going through or trying to fade away these problems. And they are not mature enough to understand that that's not how weed works. That's not why people smoke weed. That's not healthy. They are, social media says that it's cool. All celebrities, even Beyonce, talk about smoking weed, so it's so many factors that's different when we're talking about youth. So when I think about weed, I still see it as this thing that it's not bad, legalize it, it's okay. But when it comes to the kids, it's the fact that they're overusing it. Like I said, they're sprinkling this tobacco in it. They don't know where their weed is coming from. Their weed is not safe. They don't know how it was made, and they're smoking so much of it, trying in their just innocent way, just trying to cope. They're just trying to feel better. And the fact that they hurt all day long is where it stems from. So it's definitely a difference. It's one thing with the adults, but with the children, and not even all children, but those that we're talking about in the inner cities and those small towns where poverty is high, those are the ones who I'm specifically talking about struggle in this type of way.
You touching on these key things is really interesting. And I know that, one of the things that we're going to be doing is going in depth into some of this with some others, over the course of the next few weeks. And so this is it's eye-opening. I think that it allows individuals all over to just have a little bit of a glimpse into what's going on in our inner cities, our rural areas, our small towns, with young people, with children, with the middle schoolers, the high schoolers, young adults, that really is just so destructive, and how it can also be very much connected. I mean, because what it sounds like what I'm hearing is, despair and just feeling hopeless. And so, and finding some other outlet. And so the outlet that you go to could be, witchcraft. The outlet could be weed. The outlet could be, the music. And yet when you think about this almighty savior who has given us this, this outlet, which is him, and the peace that he can give, and the joy that he can give, and the healing that he can give, and just everything that he can give, all of that we are searching for can be found in him. And so you know what I'm saying? And so just being able to, how do you convey to young people and give them that other alternative, which is one of the things that I'm excited about that we're doing. And that's why you can just appreciate churches around the country that have children's ministries and things like that. And so it's exciting to know that the House DC will be starting a children's church this summer, focusing on the little kids and having the middle schoolers and high schoolers help out. So just trying to take all that twisted stuff that they are dealing with and turning it around for them. So Gina, do you have any other questions, or this was really helpful?
This has been so helpful, Brittany. And we didn't even talk about the lack of safety that, that should be something that we
I think we should I think we should. Yeah. Let Brittany, just touch on safety, because we're going to take these things and go a little bit deeper. But yeah, thanks, Gina. Let's touch on it.
If you don't mind. This is eye-opening for me, Brittany. And, I'm exposed to the ministry of the House DC. So if you don't mind, just a couple minutes on the safety issue.
Absolutely. So as far as kids not having money to buy weed, for one, buying weed off the street is just highly dangerous, especially when you live in these inner cities. For one, like example, Washington, D.C. You're either on your downtown, where we have no business. If you're trying to buy weed down there, you will be caught, and that would be a terrible situation. The weed is in the hood, in those poor neighborhoods, and you have to go into cuts and turns to be able to go and make this transaction. Sometimes it's on the street, but a lot of the older men, a lot of the more mature guys do not sell weed to high schoolers. Maybe in the 12th grade, they may sell you your first, but in those communities, they protect those old timers, those older guys. They protect those students as much as they can. That's some stuff that's not seen on the news. We see the negative, but we don't see how the community protects the community. So buying weed, you will have to go into a dangerous neighborhood and find a kid anywhere between, 17 and 21 years old, who are getting their weed from who knows where for whatever money that, for half of the price that most people are getting their weed from, for reasons because it's, chemical down, stretched out, stuff added to it, and for one, so just getting to the weed, just getting to the transaction is dangerous. That's for the guys, mostly a lot of girls, what we see and what we notice, a lot of girls get guys who get the weed for them because it's dangerous. That is also dangerous. Now, what does he expect? Now that he has went and made this run for you, or is he going to come back? So it's been situations where girls get their money stolen by guys who are claiming to go and get them. Now their brothers are involved. Now it's a brawl. Now it's a fight. Now someone's getting shot. And we call this random acts of violence. Like, wow, it's just all this random acts. And it's not. It's little things built up on top of each other from kids going around making transactions that they shouldn't be making, getting themselves into dangerous situations. We had a student specifically a while ago who told me, I can't go around that neighborhood. I got jumped in that neighborhood. I cannot go there, but that's the only person that got weed right now, so I have to go. And just, hint like, I have to do this. Can you pray with me before I go? No, you're not going up there. You're not going up there. Can you pray with me before I go? Wow. I have to smoke. everything is coming up. I'm thinking about the fact that my mom did this and this is happening in my life. I have to go there. So if I have to put myself in danger, please just pray that I make it back with the weed. They can fight me, but I just need to go and get this. It's extremely dangerous. And just being robbed in general, when you do go to, you can go to someone who's pretending like they selling weed, and they can be selling the K2 from out of the store. A lot of young students don't know the difference. So you just you walk in and they can tell you looking, and they say, weed, look for weed, and they sell it to you, and you go smoke it with your friends. And that is a extremely dangerous situation where you can end up in the hospital, overdosing, throwing up, not knowing what happened to you. So it's just so many different factors and how this is so extremely dangerous for youth, just because of what they have to go through.
And explain what K2 is.
Oh, K2 is synthetic weed. It is highly potent and dangerous. You can buy it from a corner store. It was banned for a little while, but now I think it's back. Also, you can get it from like liquor stores, any little mom and pop-up shop in the community, in those poor neighborhoods. You don't find K2 in nicer communities and nicer neighborhoods, but when you go into those poor areas, K2. So the older guys who kind of lost all hope, don't have any money, got put out of their houses, we see them smoking K2 a lot, not really in youth, but we see youth getting tricked into smoking K2 because they thought it was weed.
Right. And so if somebody who's listening is a youth, and when you use the term synthetic, what they need to understand is synthetic simply means that it's not natural. So cannabis as a plant is natural, but anything that is chemically made is synthetic. And so when you're taking something that is synthetic, now you're open to anything that could be happening to your body because it's not a natural source. So I just thought it was important to interject that in there.
And it is important, and that you can't tell the difference from the beginning.
And you can't tell.
It's not until the end that you have taken so much in that your body starts to reject it.
Wow.
I wonder, and I know it would be interesting to ask somebody in the DC police force, but you talk about, this is like a whole new area, maybe of, kids getting pot from these neighborhoods that they are not familiar with and they're not known in. And you think about, and I think about what I consider a rise in violence in DC. I feel like there is so much more violence, and it seems to me like it's younger kids that are involved in the violence. And you wonder if there's not a component of that is related to what you're talking about.
Absolutely. It is so important for them to get high. They have to, so whether I have to break into a car and someone sees me breaking into their car and shoot me because I'm just trying to get a little bit of money, whether I am snatching somebody's purse, whether I am breaking into a building, whether I'm going into somebody's purse, I need to smoke. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that I want to be bad and I want to break into your car and I want to hurt you and I want to steal from you. I just know that you are an adult with a job and you can get more. I have nothing. I don't have any other way. I need to get high. And that is definitely a issue. And I definitely believe that when it comes to the kids and the rise of crime, oh yeah, they need money. They need to be high. And that's what it is. All of this is about the money. It is not about them. I just want to do something bad today.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to say, I would call on folks that are watching this, if you would include the children in the inner city, and I would say especially the House DC, if you don't mind, in prayer. The problems sound insurmountable, but praise the Lord, we have a God that is able to do more than we would ever ask or imagine. And I would just ask folks listening to this program to please include the inner city community in your prayers, especially folks like the House DC that are going into these situations, that are going into the communities that are working so hard in the name of our Lord to help these young people see that there is a choice. There is true hope. There is, there is hope beyond, beyond pot, beyond witchcraft, beyond sage and crystals. There is true hope. These are false hopes, and so please, folks, include the House DC in your prayers, because that is the answer to all of the problems that are being faced right now, I think. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining us today. La Wonda, did you want to add something, say something else?
No, I appreciate Britney coming. We are going to have some hot topics coming up, and we'll go a little bit deeper. And so thank you. And, always, there are people just all around that are suffering. And hopefully you were enlightened. And so also I want to say, if you would like to make a contribution to an organization that's making a difference, thehousedc.org. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much, Britney. And
thank you, Britney. Thank you so much for everything that you do. I'm just so appreciative of everything. God bless you. bless your ministry. It's just amazing what you do.
All
Thank you so much. We love it.
So we will see you next week. Thank you so much. I'm La Wonda, and
I am Gina. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week.
all right. Bye-bye.
Bye.